What's up, Bittersons? John here from the Killer Bits, and yes, I'm back with another vlog, and this week I thought I'd chat to you about the curse of the video game movie. Yes, will there ever be a decent video game flick? I don't know. Anyway, the reason I thought I'd chat to you about this is because we have just had the annual Nerdvana pilgrimage to San Diego's Convention Center. Yes, Comic-Con 2015 has been and gone, and in amongst all the life-size replica Star Wars fighters and Harley Quinn licking stuff, there was a big presence for Warcraft. Legendary Pictures and Universal were there showing off kind of loads of props and armour, and they had this honking great big orc dominating the show floor. As well as that, they had their own panel in which they did actually show some footage, albeit behind closed doors. And as with all things Comic-Con, it happened with Suicide Squad, it happened with Deadpool. The footage leaked, and it was inevitable, albeit this kind of really horribly grainy footage. It was at a weird angle, you had people sat in front complaining, but it did give a sense of what the film is going to be about, and it was probably actually a better trailer for the film than the actual official trailer Legendary released this week, which was some weird combination of like a Final Fantasy tech demo meets Google Street View. Now, as I say, the footage is pretty dodgy looking, and if you got a chance to see it before it got DMCA'd and taken down, you'll know what I mean. But it does give you a sense of what the film's going to be like, and it does kind of focus very much on the Horde side of the story. I think it focuses on Juratan and his band of orcs as they go through some gate and seek refuge. And I don't know, there's not a lot of detail to what the story's going to be, but it does give you a sense that this is going to be very much a CGI fest. I mean, the guys at Weta Workshop are handling the visuals, and you can tell, because it feels like Lord of the Rings. That's not a bad thing, but I've already watched Lord of the Rings. I don't need to see it again. And even then, Lord of the Rings, the orcs in that felt a bit more real because, well, they were guys in rubber suits. This is just completely CGI as far as I can tell. And I can understand why, because they're basing it on World of Warcraft and that. The character design for the orcs is a bit more stylized and bulky, and you're not going to get somebody in a suit managing that, so it has to be all created in a computer. But still, as I say, it feels like Lord of the Rings, and I've already seen that. I mean, there are some sparks of hope. The fact that the very talented Duncan Jones, Zowie Bowie himself, is directing is a plus. The fact that the studio does have some confidence in it because they're ploughing $100 million into this thing. But I'm just not that excited. I'm sorry. I can't get excited for it. I've already watched Lord of the Rings, and that's what this feels like already. Yes, we do have stuff like Ratchet & Clank and Sly Cooper films coming out next year. And we even had John C. Reilly saying in an interview this week he is actually signed on for Wreck-It Ralph 2. While not a video game movie, it's a movie with video game characters in. It all kind of works because these films are obviously CGI cartoons essentially, and feel very close to the source material. So they do work in a sense, but CGI isn't always the way to go, as Square found out when they kind of bet the bank on, what is it, Final Fantasy Spirits Within or whatever it is. Yeah, and they bet the bank and lost everything. But that's the thing, I don't think there has ever been a video game movie that just works. I mean, you've got a reboot of the Hitman films happening in a few weeks' time. Are we really at the point we need to have reboots of films that didn't do very well anyway? I think there's a reboot of Tomb Raider somewhere in the works. There are so many options out on video game properties out there. I mean, there's stuff like, there's an option on a Five Nights at Freddy's film. How the hell is that going to work? I mean, yes, the idea of animatronics coming to life is a scary prospect. But how is that going to work in a film? I mean, yes, it could work. I guess because, I mean, I think animatronics coming to life has been used before, and it could work with a modern day audience for the horror factor. But the problem is, the target demographic for Five Nights at Freddy's is 13-year-olds. If you want a horror movie, you've got to aim for 18-year-olds. It's not going to work unless they wait 5 years to actually, for the development process. I don't know. I mean, there's other stuff in development, like Last of Us. I mean, Macy Williams is rumoured to be playing Ellie. Once again, at Comic-Con, you had Nolan North, Nathan Drake himself, tweeting a picture with Nathan Fillion going, "This guy for Drake," in an Uncharted film. So there are so many properties up for development as films, but I'm not sure any of them are going to work. I mean, the closest I think may work is, and this is very much a maybe, is the Assassin's Creed film that's supposed to be coming out, I think, December next year. Assassin's Creed starring Michael Fassbender, and unlike other films, it's not following a storyline within the game. It's existing within the universe of the game. So whereas all the Assassin's Creed games have obviously been set, it's Assassins versus Templars, you've got Abstergo, you've got all that. This exists in that universe, but it's a completely new story. I think the rumour is it's set in the Spanish Civil War, and it will play out both in the past and in the future, with Michael Fassbender playing both characters. But unlike the present version of himself, isn't going to be Desmond as it was once rumoured. It's going to be a completely different character. It's going to be some convict on death row, I think it's supposed to be. So the fact that it's exploring the universe but in a different story could work. As I say, this is very much a maybe, but I'm not sure. I really don't think video game movies work because, well, essentially, when you're playing a game, you are controlling the story, how the story plays out. I mean, it's all scripted and things like that. There is a start, middle, and end, all that kind of thing. But you go on that journey yourself. Whereas a film is a more passive experience, and you're seeing the story play out through the director's eyes, essentially. So you lose that lack of control, and it doesn't work for the fact that you have no input. So all these kind of stories you've built up in your mind playing the games, they don't get realised in the big screen adaptation, so you are left feeling a little cold. I mean, there are films, video game movies I've enjoyed. Stuff like Prince of Persia, I thought was a great kind of popcorn flick in the kind of the Bruckheimer Pirates of the Caribbean matinee romp. Even stuff like the original Resident Evil, thankfully it's reaching its final chapter, but in that first film there were points that I really enjoyed it. I mean, stuff like the laser grid scene in the corridor I thought was brilliant, and I think still stands up. It's just the rest of the film wasn't particularly good. But even going back to really cheesy stuff like Street Fighter, that falls into the so bad it's good category. But it was bad then, it's still bad now, it's just coloured with nostalgia, and it's that kind of cheesy thing. But I don't think we've ever had a decent video game movie, and I don't think we will. But the thing is, there are so many options out there on all these kind of properties. You've got stuff like, I think there's Deus Ex, there's a long rumoured Metal Gear that's been in and out of development hell for God knows how long. You've got stuff like, there's a Minecraft movie in the works. You've got Angry Birds. I even read there's a Tetris movie in the works. What the hell? None of this will work. I mean, but if at some point they do actually crack it, if somebody nails that video game movie and it works, and it's not a documentary, it's not King of Kong, you know the floodgates are going to be opened, because Hollywood is that unoriginal. They will just strip mine a property for all it's worth. I mean, at the moment it's being done with comic book movies. Every year now we have like 5 or 6 comic book movies. we are hitting saturation point, and eventually that bubble will burst, and Hollywood will want to move on to the next big thing, which it does look like it could be video games. If they can nail a formula with video game movies, they will just exploit it for what it's worth. And that will be, you know, the next 10 years worth of films will all kind of reflect video game movies, and there'll be more tie-ins and things like that. But at the moment, I don't think anybody's going to get over the video game curse. I'm sorry, but that is just my opinion. I would love to hear what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below. Is there any kind of video game movies you've actually thought work? I mean, I'm not on about Street Fighter and cheesy Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kylie Minogue. And yeah, is there any video game movie that actually works, do you think? Let us know in the comments, or you can tweet us at TheKillerbits, or on Facebook at facebook.com/TheKillerbits. And let me know what you want me to talk about in upcoming vlogs and things like that, me and Fran. Or if you want to support the channel as a whole, whether it's the vlogs or the Let's Plays or the reviews, whatever, you can do now on Patreon at patreon.com/TheKillerbits. Anyway, I rabbited on long enough. I will let you guys get on with the rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.